So I really like long books and I enjoy reading classics, but that doesn't mean that I'm not intimidated by some books. So today I'm going to do the intimidating book tag video and talk about the things in books that actually intimidate me. Because there are a few. I was tagged by Tammy at Believe in Your Shelf, and so you can go ahead and check out her tag video. It seems like this tag video has been around long enough that it's not really clear who made the original tag video. I did try a couple of links that seem to lead to it, and the video seems to no longer be available. So I will just be going with Tammy. I will link her video in the description box below, so you can go and watch her video and see the written out questions there. Question number one is very simply a book that you were unable to finish. So I will talk about one of the books that I most recently didn't finish or DNF'd, and I do DNF books. I don't know if I'd say frequently, but I regularly. Like I don't hesitate to put a book down or not finish it. The book that I most recently did not finish was Quo Vadis, and this was actually part of a buddy read, and this was sort of an agreement between me and my buddy reader. Both of us were finding this book a little bit slow to get into. I personally didn't think the writing was that great. It is a book in translation, so it may just be the translation I have, but I didn't find it particularly engaging. We both agreed that we had a lot of other good reading going on, and that we were totally fine putting this down and maybe coming back to it later this year. So this is a book that I put down. I don't think because any of it intimidated me, other than the idea of continuing to read a book that I wasn't enjoying. Yeah, that's an intimidating, horrifying idea to me. So So the next couple of questions are all related to the same idea of books that I haven't read because fill in the blank. So question number two is a book I haven't read because I haven't had the time. And that would be The Journey West. This is translated by Anthony C.U. And this book is a Chinese classic. It is supposed to be really good. However, this version and translation of the book, I think there's six books. I want to say there's at least three or four. I'll put on the screen the correct number. But there's quite a few volumes in this book. Most of the volumes are made up of his notes. And so I just haven't had time or the energy or the desire right now to go through and read the copious footnotes. I mean, the story itself is only a few hundred pages, but the introduction to this book is almost 100 pages in and of itself. I have heard that the introduction is pretty helpful to at least skim, and that the notes do give a lot of cultural and background information. So I do want to take my time with this, but I have not had the time recently. Number three is a book I haven't read because it's a sequel. Yeah, I could throw a lot of books on this one. Do sequels intimidate me? I don't know. It's just I rarely find a book where I feel like the first book in a series is good enough for me to want to continue reading the series. So it's not that it intimidates me to keep going, it's just more of a why would I keep going? But in this case, a book that I haven't read because it's a sequel is Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope. And it really has nothing to do with the fact that this is a series. I've heard that this is a really good book. It's just for some reason, the couple of times it's come up, earlier this year, I've kind of been like, "Oh, I don't know if I wanna go back into a series." Um, I don't know why. I've gotten over that recently, and I'm really hoping to get this on my TBR soon. Question 4 is a book I haven't read just because it's newer. So this is a newer book. You know, I just realized I assumed that it meant, newer to me, as in I recently purchased it, versus that it's a newer published book. Well, the question's not clear, and I'm going with my original interpretation, which was it's a newer book. I more recently bought this book, and so that's the only reason I haven't read it. And that will sometimes put me off reading a book. I do like to go with books that are older on my TBR, but that doesn't mean I won't pick up the Charterhouse sometime soon. So we'll see. But thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it means a book that I haven't read because it's like brand new, as in recently published. In that case, editing me will put up whatever book that might have been. So that's the newest book that I haven't read that I own. Of course, it might not mean that either. Okay, I'm overthinking the question now. Let's move on. Question 5 is a book that I haven't read because it's by an author whose other work I didn't enjoy, and that would be Sophie's Choice. I have owned this book in the past. I think I read it years ago, maybe in high school, and I thought about rereading it, but I read another book by this author this year, and I decided that I just don't need any more. Question number 6 is a book I haven't read because I'm just not in the mood for it. And that book would be The Black Tulip by Alexandre Dumas. This is an author whose other works I have read and I have really enjoyed. And I was looking forward to reading this until I discovered that it was very much historical fiction. And I don't mean historical fiction as in like published, years ago. In that sense, it's a classic, yeah. But as in during Alexandre Dumas' time, he was writing about a past event. The premise of this book sounds interesting, but I read the first chapter or two, and there is so much historical information and cultural information going on that it was kind of a project in and of itself, almost similar to Monkey West. And this is also not a very long book in and of itself. And the couple of times I've been able to pick it up recently, I'm like, yeah, no, this is work that I'm just not interested in doing. That and the fact that historical fiction is also not my favorite genre. And I can enjoy it, but it's usually has to be like I intentionally picked the book. I'm pretty sure if I had have known that this was historical fiction, even for Alexander Dumas, I might not have bought it. I might have just gotten it from the library. Number 7 is a book I haven't read because it's humongous. So if you've watched my channel, you know that I like mammoth books. I love books that are over 800 pages. Generally, that doesn't bother me to read them. I enjoy a long book. I so much so that a 500-page book doesn't actually feel long to me anymore. However, I do have one book on my shelf that I've noticed recently I've been kind of avoiding whenever an opportunity comes up to read it. And that book is The Wandering Jew. And this book is humongous. It is 1,344 pages long. The funny thing about this book is I am reading another work by Eugene Sue, The Mysteries of Paris, and that book is 1,392 pages long. So it's actually longer than this book. And the translation I have of that one, at least, actually reads very easily and very quickly, and I'm quite enjoying it. So I'm realizing at this point, this book no longer actually intimidates me. However, I will probably continue to avoid putting it on my TBR for a while because a girl can only read so many 1,300-page books at one time. And finally, question number 9, a book that I have not read because it's the most intimidating book on my TBR. And this, of everything that I've mentioned, is probably the one book that I do actually find intimidating at the thought of reading it, and may just eventually one day unhaul it and not read it at all. And that book is Ulysses by James Joyce. So this book kind of triggers all my, oh, do I want to read that? It is a work of postmodern literature. I've taken an entire college class on postmodern lit and modern lit, and didn't enjoy most of the things that we read in that class. So I'm already slightly concerned that I'm just not going to like the book because of that. I know the writing style in here is stream of consciousness, which I'm also not a huge fan of. So it makes me go, why do I own this book and why do I think I want to read it? And maybe I don't want to read it and let's put it away. So this definitely wins the award for the most intimidating book that I own that I'm like almost scared to read, but at some point I'll give it a try, maybe. So that is it. That is my list of my stack of books that are intimidating or at least fit all the answers to the questions for this tag video. Let me know what is the most intimidating book on your TBR. And if you have a channel and you would like to do this tag video, please do and be sure to let me know. And I am going to tag the following people with the help of my notebook because no way I'm going to remember this. So I tagged the following booktube channels, and maybe they've done it already. If so, I feel like I would have watched their video on this because I'm always curious what intimidates other people. But if you haven't done this tag video and I name you and you'd like to, feel free to, but no pressure. So I'm tagging Julie at Julie Reads Her Bookshelf, Kat at Kat's Novel Adventures, Krys at Krys's Corner, Tristan at L-Space-Books, and he's a newer booktube channel, and Leandra at Leandra the TBR Zero. And all of these people have book channels, and they are all channels that I am subscribed to and watch. So go check them out and see what intimidates them, because you never know. All right, I'll talk to you next time.